Hi, my name is Yolene Lofton. Nurses, today I'm going to be talking to you about the nursing boards and what all nurses should know about the process. I think too many times a lot of nursing schools, colleges, technical colleges that admit nursing students fail or do a lot of injustice because they don't prepare nursing students or new grads for what can happen should you encounter problems with your license, or if you ever have a complaint, or what the next steps are. And so today I'm going to be sharing that process with you, especially from a personal perspective based on the experience that I went through. One of the reasons why I decided to make this a priority is because no nurse deserves to go through the process alone. And I think it's very important, especially not only it's true for me, but nurses who are out there, if you've gone through an experience with the Board of Nursing perhaps, and may find your experience a little disheartening, tumultuous, a little shameful. I want to encourage you not to be that way and use your experiences also to help other nurses, to prevent them from going through it. If we could learn different things from each other, why not help another nurse and prevent them from going through the same thing? And so I think that's very important. And so basically today, that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. But what's the purpose of boards of nursing? So every state, as you all know, nurses have a nursing board, and the purpose of nursing boards is basically to provide licensure. They monitor nurses. They provide oversight and information with regards to discipline and recommendations, if you will. And so they basically determine the competence of nurses to see if they're deemed professional enough to provide skilled nursing in the workplace, as you know. And so one of their main goals is to, of course, protect the public. And one of the things they do to protect the public is follow through or follow up on whether a nurse get a complaint from wherever location you may work. And so basically, complaints may come from any source. This can be your employers, nursing homes, hospitals, ambulatory care clinics, you name it, ERs, dialysis centers. It can even come from, perhaps your driver's license or a company or a criminal department, whether it's you committed a criminal crime or what have you. And so complaints could come from any source, the public, what have you. And in another video, we'll go over the different things that can get nurses in trouble. But the nursing board process is basically provided, the nursing board provide oversight rather of these complaints that nurses can get that can come from various sources. So once a nurse get a complaint, basically there's several steps that you have to follow, depending on the state you live in. And so once a nurse get an actual complaint, in that letter, it's gonna say you have at least 20 days. It can be 20 to 30 days, once again, based on the state you live in, indicating that you have 20 to 30 days to respond to the complaint. Do not ever respond on your own, nurses. This is something that they don't tell you. Do not respond on your own once you get a complaint letter. That is like a light bulb to immediately locate an attorney. Right away, do not respond to them, because guess what? Whatever you say or do can be held against you. Of course, they never tell you that, because the goal is to get you in a place to admit perhaps to whatever complaint that's alleged against you, and to, hold any wrongdoing against you. They basically will hold your word against you. So do not never respond to any complaints without seeking the counsel of an attorney. But you always have to keep in mind that those time frames are very important. So if they give you 20 to 30 days, you have to make sure you respond within that time frame, because that's very important. And so once you find an attorney, I would of course recommend either a nurse attorney or an attorney who specializes in administrative law, because they're pretty much aware of, the regulations involved with nursing and the state statutes. And any other attorney outside of those specialty areas, you might find it a little challenging. Why? Because you're going to have to pretty much break down your case, all the dynamics of your case, and whatever's happening with your case to that attorney that perhaps may not have a clinical background or know anything about nursing. And that it can be challenging because you're trying to explain something that someone can't even understand or fathom that you may be going through, or see through the dynamics that we all know exist in the nursing profession. And so you want to make sure it's either a nurse attorney or an administrative law attorney. That's my recommendation. But basically, once you get a complaint, you look for an attorney, and you have a certain amount of time to respond, and you want to make sure you get to those time frames, and meet those deadlines rather accordingly. Most attorneys, for the most part, will give you a free consultation, but initially, once they hear after the free consultation, of course, you may get into retainer fees, and those retainer fees could be anywhere between $1,000 to $3,500. Another thing that you need to know is that most of that will come out of pocket. But I would recommend that most nurses do look into professional liability insurance, because that can be a big, it can offset a lot of costs. But what do you need to know? And so number one, nursing boards are not on your side. Yes, they have attorneys, they have counsel that represent nursing boards in every state, along with, at least in Florida, it's like a 13-member board. The 13-member board are made up of nurses and consumers, if you will, who volunteer in those areas. And they do have attorneys, but those attorneys do not work for you. A lot of nurses make that mistake because they just don't know. And they go in there trying to, pour their hearts out. And yeah, we're a caring profession, but the nursing board, their stance is a very neutral stance when they're dealing with any complaints that come through, the Board of Nursing. And so the Board of Nursing attorneys are not your attorneys. They're not on your side. In fact, they work for the board, and they will defend the board, and so they'll never go into a hearing not understanding that rather. And so definitely the boards are not on your side. What you need to know is you need to get a nurse attorney or an administrative law attorney, because they're the best attorneys for the job, that can understand or break down your case and navigate through the statutes relevant to your case, for whatever the allegation is. You have to understand that these cases can take anywhere between 6 months to 2 years or more sometimes, nurses. It's a disheartening process. It can be timely, costly, and that process can last anywhere between 6 to 2 years and up, depending on what's going on with, your particular case. So you want to make sure you get things going on and the ball rolling the right way initially. As far as the Board of Nursing, once they get your complaint and your attorney responds to that complaint matter, you'll eventually get a letter stating that you have to either appear before the board, and they'll grant you either a board hearing date and notice, if you will. And so you have to, of course, reach out to your attorney to make sure, to find out whether you're supposed to appear or not. And many times the nurse, may have to appear. And so you have that complaint, you find your attorney, your attorney responds to that complaint within the designated time frames, and basically the Board of Nursing will then determine what date, you go to a hearing, so that they can hear your attorney, or basically hear your case. And so after, arriving to the hearing, basically different things can happen. You can either request an appeal if you don't like the decision the board makes. You can, respond to a final order, or your attorney can rather, based on whatever decision was made. Or you can have your attorney apply for a motion for reconsideration based on whatever decision, whether it is something that you did not agree upon and you want to be heard again. And also, the board, different things could happen based on your Board of Nursing meeting. And here's the different actions that can happen against your license. Once again, every case is individualized, and it just depends on what's going on with your particular case. But based on what's ever happening, the board can either put you on probation, and that can be a certain amount of time, anywhere between 3 months, 2 years, or anything in between. They could give you a slap on the wrist, make you pay a fine based on what's happening. Everything is individualized once again. They can either suspend your license for a designated period of time, or indefinitely, or permanently, or they can revoke a nurse's license. And so based on whatever it is that's happening, of course, there's always a rebuttal, and your attorney can always respond accordingly. Of course, he'll consult with you to see what route you want to take and recommend the best route he may feel, or he or she may feel is appropriate. And so you definitely want to, consult with the attorney after the hearing to see what it is you want to do, and kind of go from there. And also there's that IPN program that most nurses know, which is at least in Florida, it's like an impaired program for nurses who get involved with narcotics or drug abuse or what have you, alcohol. And that's a whole nother segment. We're not even going to go into that now. I empathize with nurses who are going through different drug rehab programs or IPN programs. Whatever it is you're going through, it's not your fault. There is help, and there are alternative measures that you can seek help and counsel outside of that, but we'll get into that in another video. But anyway, if your license is suspended or revoked, or whatever the decision that the board makes on your license, you usually have about 30 days to kind of transition from there. And we'll get into that. We're going to be breaking these videos up, by the way, into separate segments to help you get a better understanding of the different steps of the process, nurses, because I think that's important. And so each video will pretty much break down the steps for you based on where you are. And I think that's important to know, because this is just basically an overview or a snapshot, if you will, of the process. And so here you are. You have the complaint process. You have the different steps you need to take once you receive that notification in the mail. Understand, most importantly, that time is of the essence. You have to respond to those complaints in a manner that's timely. Other than that, it could be detrimental for you. And, basically get an attorney. Don't go through the process alone. Never meet or give information to anyone, whether it's your Department of Health in your state. Don't admit to anything. Seek counsel. Don't put nothing in writing. Don't meet with anyone outside of counsel, because what you can or say can be held against you, unfortunately. And then your attorney will basically do the legwork for you in terms of getting the ball rolling, making sure you don't implicate yourself ahead of time, and pretty much guiding you from there. But I just wanted to share this general overview with you. Didn't want to make the video too long. This is one of the first segments of the nursing process video, especially from a personal perspective and the experience that I've gone through. Please understand that I am not an attorney. However, I am an expert in disciplinary healthcare issues involving nurses, and I have worked in the area of regulatory nursing before. I no longer practice nursing, but I have since used my experience and my expertise to help nurses and to prevent them from going through the same thing. And so look out for subsequent videos. And subsequent videos, if you want to, definitely subscribe to my channel. But in subsequent videos, we'll be going over not only the complaint process in further detail, but we'll be going over what to expect at those hearings, at the Board of Nursing hearings. What should the nurses do during the process? What should nurses come up with? Should you come up with a contingency plan, if you will? That was a tongue twister. A contingency plan, based on whatever the outcome may be for your nursing individualized case. We're going to be explaining what the dynamics are behind a suspension of a license, whether your license is on probation, revoked, or what alternatives are there if you don't decide to go through a impaired practicing nurse program or a drug rehabilitation program if narcotics is your issue, or ETOH. What employment options do you have? We'll be going over that in a second video. Should you apply for endorsement in another state? What are the benefits, the pros and cons if you apply for other licenses in other states, especially compact states or individualized states? We'll be going over that in different videos to help you break down the process. And, it can be relevant for you to pick out a video based on whatever area you are at in your nursing process to help you understand a little better. And we'll also be going over different options based on the outcome of whatever it is your license status may be at the end of the process or at the conclusion of the process. There's several options. Nursing innovation is big right now. Yes, you have your background, you have your expertise, your degree. Perhaps you did lose your license, or you have some issues going on with your license where different employers are looking at you some type of way. It's not the end of the world. Utilize your expertise to help people. And we'll be going over that. We talk about nursing innovation. We talk about we'll have a separate video on what's your purpose as a nurse, and basically finding your niche if, in fact, you have an untoward outcome with your license. We're going to also be helping nurses to utilize that experience that they went through, good, bad, or indifferent, to basically come up with a niche, come up with a business, come up with, maybe that's part of your ministry, where you overcame a particular area where others condemned you, but you're basically going to turn that around and use it for good to help others and benefit from it, of course, by helping others and enjoying the perks and benefits that come with helping others, financially. And so we're going to be sharing all of that with nurses. But today I just wanted to give you a general overview of what to expect. So basically, thank you for watching this segment on what the Board of Nursing process is all about. Tune in by subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm Yolene Lofton. You may find me under Yolene Lofton Ministries at times. Nurses who have questions, you can also reach out to me. I'll put out the email address in the link below. Once the video is over, you can basically reach out to me individually if you want, and I'll get back to you. If you need help with career transitional counseling, if you need help with nursing innovation consulting, if you need more information on what we do with Yolene Lofton Ministries, whether it's, of course, we're a teaching, healing ministry, and we're involved in missions work to help nurses get involved to catapult them into their destiny. We are also disciplinary experts, like I said before, in regulatory and disciplinary measures. And so we can help as far as that. And I also help out sometimes with speaking engagements, to give nurses a better understanding of these areas that a lot of nursing schools, companies, employers don't even share with you. And so thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and basically join me next time, okay? Thank you for watching.